Okay, continuing with the bodhicitta, the chapter on the generating the bodhicitta. So when we talk about the generating, there's a sense of, like accumulating, probably deducting, deconstructing, saving, accumulating, upgrading, I don't know. sense sense of longing the truth, longing to get closer to the truth. And when we talk about the truth, we are talking about this. Remember, we talked about this fact that it's there, but it's not there. I'm using this as a very, very, hopefully, just to make it understandable. That's it. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Everything is apparent like this. You are there, I'm here. There's the air condition going on. Flowers are here. There was a time. There is this thing called time. I have to tell you this. Recently I was giving candy to a child. The child likes it very much. But I should not give candy too much. So the child asks more. And I said, I will give you tomorrow. And I've learned something out of this. The child doesn't know what is tomorrow. And it was so fantastic. It was such a moment of awakening for me. Like how we, the adults, are so doomed by tomorrow. These children, they don't have tomorrow. What a fantastic thing. It's just so amazing. But also I felt sad because sooner or later the child is going to learn about this stupid tomorrow. It's there, time is there, but it's also not there. I think certain things we can understand, like time, like a rainbow, like the mirage. Like a reflection of the moon in the water. It's there, but it's also not there at the same time. Certain things easily chewable, digestible. But when it comes to gain, loss, praise, criticism, personally, even something so small like you look young. That time when someone says you look young, you forget it's there, but it's not there. Or if someone says you really look old, you look so haggard, then also, of course, you also forget this is there, but it's not there. So see, longing for that truth, that's what we are talking about generating the bodhicitta. I want you to understand this, because oftentimes there is this thing, generating the bodhicitta is like generating love and compassion, which will do, but especially if you understand the 3 levels of compassion we talked yesterday. Three levels of suffering, especially two exclusive Buddhist compassion and 1 exclusive Mahayana compassion. In this sense, bodhicitta is also none other than the union of the method and wisdom. It's not a mere feeling sorry or feeling sympathetic or empathy. You have to know this. It's a very big bodhicitta. But in the process of generating this, they are seemingly very, very simple and almost theistic, very ritualistic methods. Like remembering the Buddha, longing for the Buddha, associating with the Buddha, associating with the Sangha, hearing and contemplating the words of the Dharma. I mean, the words of the Buddha, the Dharma. And longing for the, what do you call it? This is such a good word. How should I translate this? Tolerance, yes. Tolerance to shunyata. This is a big one. This is a really important word in the Mahayana. Tolerance to the absolute shunyata. Probably I have to be a little bit sort of, sometimes in the Mahayana teachings, you hear a little bit of a Mahayana chauvinistic sort of remarks. Like if you, let's say, the Mahayana have sometimes a little bit of chauvinistic remarks, like, let's say you wish to get the hell out of samsara. You want to reach a state where you don't have to return to the samsara. You want to cut the root of the suffering and the cause of the suffering. So, for that, you practice selflessness of the person, egolessness. Longing to understand that the self, I, me, does not exist. It's just a label that is labeled to 5 aggregate, so on and so forth. But this kind of motivation is not what the Bodhisattva path would say, absolute, full tolerance to the shunyata. Why? Because you are, first of all, you are triggered by the motivation to get the hell out of the samsara. You want to have a peace and harmonious situation of not returning to the samsara. You want to be liberated. So if someone says, there is no such thing as a liberation, there is no samsara, like a Nagarjuna, he said this. Nagarjuna said, Buddha, you have never said that there is a nirvana that requires abandoning the samsara. You only said that the non-existence of the samsara is the nirvana. There's a difference. Now, to tolerate such kind of a remark, this is a shunyata. We are talking about the full-scale shunyata. I mean, of course, the self does not exist. Even the liberation, the nirvana, samsara, none of this exists truly. To tolerate such kind of information, you need to have big aspiration. You need to have courage. So, a bodhisattva must therefore engage in very kind of grand motivation. And with this grand motivation, bodhisattvas must do like these grand aspirations, such as the bodhisattvas having aspiration to make offerings to all the Buddhas. That bodhisattva will uphold all the teachings of the Buddha, not like cherry pick. This is for me, but this is not for me. Because for bodhisattva, every teachings is required to benefit sentient beings. And to be able to manifest in many, many, many different forms. Some of these, please don't ask me because I'm not, very, too vast and anyway, I think you can take it literally. Basically, bodhisattva have aspiration to have many different forms. Aspiration to enter into many, many, many Buddha field. Aspiration to perfect all the 6 paramitas or the 10 paramitas. Aspiration to ripen sentient beings' potential. Remember, all sentient beings are like an ore. They all have the Buddha nature. They need to be ripened to have the aspirations to do that. And then aspiration to dwell in all the Buddha's field and sort of enjoy all the Buddha, the elements of or the characteristic of all the Buddha field. Just to give you an idea what it really means, this one. Those who have read Vimalakirti Sutra, there's a section where Shariputra thought, how can this rocks and dust can be the field of the Buddha? Something like this. And then Buddha replied that this is because you are not managing to dwell on the Buddha field. And not only dwell in the Buddha field, you're not managing to sort of make full use of the Buddha field. So you end up seeing as like a rocks and the abysses and a cliff and like a very ordinary, limited, and narrow human field. And then a bodhisattva must aspire to have, to share similar 주의 장생입니다. 주의 tumbarnaba. To be able to have this like a bodhisattva, to be able to have the ability, just as all the sublime or the bodhisattvas who are dwelling on the higher bhumis, how they relate to the world. Let just give you an example. Let's say a first bhumi bodhisattva. He has to liberate one sentient being somewhere in Istanbul. And this sentient being will occur in one specific coffee shop. But this specific sentient being is very unpredictable. We never know when this particular sentient being will turn up in that specific coffee shop. It could take Bodhisattva 100 million lifetimes to grab that occasion. The first Bhumi Bodhisattva will go to Istanbul and wait there every day. It's no problem. Just to grab that one moment, no problem. It will never be considered as such a long wait. You understand? For just one small moment. This is what we are. So having the aspiration to be able to have that kind of tolerance, patience, and ability, and also actually have fun while you are waiting. And, consider not even as a waiting, something like this. And then have the aspiration to, no matter what Bodhisattva does, even turning a page or sharpening a pencil or, I don't know, smelling a pencil. I don't know, they're so good smell, It doesn't matter what. Even the most mundane act, a bodhisattva will have the aspiration that it will, one way or another, benefit the sentient beings. At the end, the bodhisattva, no matter what, every single action of the bodhisattva, even breathing in and out, will not only have some sort of meaningful thing. The earlier one is meaningful. The last one is that it will lead all the sentient beings to enlightenment. So these are the sort of the 10 different examples of aspirations that Bodhisattva can do in order to generate the generate the bodhicitta. Okay, so I think this will also sort of give you a picture of how the Bodhisattva, when we talk about generating the bodhicitta, we are not only talking about, usually when we talk about defilement, immediately we are thinking about gross emotions such as desire, anger, jealousy. But for Bodhisattva, That defilement is very small time defilement. It's really, really easy defilement. It's the second set of the defilement, shunyata, which is self of phenomena. Notion that there is an enlightenment, there's a samsara, there's a path, there's a progress, there's a stages, there is an antidote, there's a solution, there's a problem. These distinctions are the much more challenging. And generating the bodhicitta is really generating the courage, of course, not only to destroy emotions such as anger, but also dualistic distinctions such as this is samsara and nirvana. That's a big courage. Shall I give you maybe chance to some questions? We have 15 minutes. And there's a little bit of there's maybe one or two questions.
Hello, Rinpoche. I have questions. Actually, I have two questions. One related with today's topic and one related with yesterday's topic. The first question is related with the first topic. Is about I myself is a truth seeker, and I have traveled all the way from one Abrahamic religion, now entering the Buddhist path, and been practicing for quite 2 years or 3 years. And while I'm serving as a volunteer in our center, I have this aspiration for my friends and my colleague who has different view than Buddhists. One of the another is kind of like secular universalist that consider all religion is same and all religion is having non-dualistic path as Buddhist, and another is another fanatic religion. Fanatic religion. Yes. My question is, while I'm serving as a volunteer in the center, I really have this aspiration to like, kind of like make them to be a Buddhist. Well, I have this urge, but at the same time, I know this is attachment and I have the suffering because of this as well. But how to proceed from this? Should we encourage these things or what? Because some of your talks, you also feel the same way that I feel. That's why I'm asking, what is your attitude toward this?
I'm only talking to you, okay? Not for these people. You should do it. Really. Have the right motivation. Have a good motivation with a good heart. These guys need to hear non-duality. These guys need to hear the non-extreme view, non-violent view. So with a good heart, not to make some gain for yourself. Yes, do it. And maybe as your skill of doing it get better, I would not mind even if you go around knocking people's door and please. And if you need ideas, please call me. I will also think about ideas. Probably knocking windows or something like this. I'm serious.
Thank you. And can I add another question? Yesterday you gave a topic about but our Buddha nature is originally pure, like a pure glass, and the dirt is imputed by something else, but not inherently part of the glass. That is originally pure. My question is, if our Buddha nature is pure, from where the defilement of earth emerge? Is it imputed by the concept that is taught by our parents to us while we are children? Or is it emerging from our expression of Buddha nature?
Very good.
If the defilement, especially the ignorant part, is the expression of our Buddha nature as well, it means like our Buddha nature is self-deceiving. And if our Buddha nature is self-deceiving, upon realizing the the original state of Buddha nature, does it mean like we are about to deceive ourselves again? Since the
Fantastic.
ignorance.
Really good. This is good question. Yes. Mm. I will think of a way to answer this so that it's sort of comprehensible, I think. Um, okay. I will try to answer this in two ways. Maybe the second one, we can only do it after lunch because it's going to be quite long. And this is an important question, so we should dwell on this a bit. The first one, more academic and more sort of more intellectual oriented, I will tell you. Okay. Mm, Basically, what you are asking is if Buddha nature is inherently pure, where does the all this defilement emerge, right? It's like this. Mm, you are, first of all, you are mixing two stages. And this is not only you, everyone does this. This is one of the most challenging when we study Buddhism. Really challenging. How should I put this one? It's okay. So if we are when we are talking about pure state of the Buddha nature, Mahayana people, and especially the Vajrayana people, they will say, what do you mean by defilements? There is no defilements at all. You understand what I'm saying? There is no defilements. There is no defilements. Therefore, there is no enlightenment. There is no nirvana. There is no samsara, etc., etc. But when we are talking on the base of the Buddha nature itself, but now you are talking about a different occasion when is we are assuming that there is a defilement already. So it's a bit like this. I think the Longchenpa's example is the best. This one, you are sleeping peacefully in your bed, and you are having a nightmare. Let's say a spider walking in, and you are in panic. Mm, I'll try to give few examples. You are in panic. In reality, before you even sleep, the spider does not exist. During the sleep, spider does not exist. You understand? When you wake up, there is no such thing as no more spider because it did not even exist right from the beginning. You understand? So at the moment you are asking me, where does all this conditioning of the spider come from? So this is why I'm asking you, if you are asking uh, someone who has not done, okay, two state, okay? Two stages of the state, I think we should say. In the absolute realm, there is no spider. Therefore, there is no panic of the spider. Therefore, there is no relief from having a spider. And there was no occurrence of a spider at all. So that's the ultimate, we are talking on the ultimate level. Now, so when you ask the questions, where does the first spider come from? You are only talking on the relative level. You can't ask these questions on the ultimate level. You understand? In the ultimate level, I will say, no, there's no spider. Now, on the relative level, then I will say, yes, culture, tradition, habitual patterns, so on and so forth. This is always the most tricky and most difficult to study, most difficult topic, actually. Not only this, and because of that, and this is important, I should tell you, because of that, many times when the Buddha taught, most of his teachings, he did not really meant what he was saying. I used to even call it the Cinderella teachings. He was sort of making things up. Why? Because the actual truth is so difficult to explain. So you need to make things up. So if you were to ask me, what are the things that he was sort of like not really make things up, I shouldn't really say. He was, anyway, the proper word is expedient teaching. So there he talks about good, bad, karma, reincarnation, progress, all this. All this makes us think one thing, which is it's all matter of changing your dimension. If you could just shift your dimension and reach to the state where there is no time, no space, you will not be even asking this. It's just a matter of changing this dimension. But changing this dimension is difficult because we are so stuck and used to the current dimension. So we just even can't fathom. Because your question is when, for instance, when did this happen? So you are already talking about a time. This level, on the ultimate level, question such as when does not even exist. There is no time. Okay, giving you a more, I don't know, raw example. Let's say I'm your teacher and you are my student who is practicing. Me, even though I'm a teacher, I'm a totally ignorant being. I just have more information just because I spend more hours studying this. You, on the other hand, is very devoted. You really long for the path. I'm actually not, this is my job. It's just a profession. Then I teach you anyway, according to the text, not necessarily making mistakes, properly. So you hear this, you practice, you achieve enlightenment. Okay? You actually achieve enlightenment tonight. Now, you may think, you will realize, oh, my teacher is actually not enlightened being. You understand what I mean? Because you are enlightened, so now you are omniscient. You know everything. So now you look at me. What? My teacher is not enlightened? This is how you might think, but actually no. In your view, I have always been enlightened. Not only that, Not only that, you will never remember something like once upon a time, May the 15th, when I was not enlightened. It doesn't exist. You have never moved from that point to the time and the space. Everything was perfect. That's even a language. You understand? Now, meanwhile, me, the ignorant being, will look at you and say, oh, that idiot. You know, still, because I have no pure perception, because I'm ignorant, I may have more information, I'm not enlightened, I see you as a not enlightened being. That's my perception. And this is how the net of paradoxy works. It's quite amazing. Now, forget maybe not fully enlightened. You are about to be enlightened. About to be enlightened. But your practice is respect and humility. So you will always see me as enlightened. And you will even thank me as if I am the cause for your enlightenment. This is a kind of a very sophisticated. It's like another way putting. Okay, there's a Buddha nature which you need to discover. Now, what you were talking, relating to your question, what is the what is the broad band between me and this my nature? You understand? Many other religion may have brought another being, like a son of the God, to whom you call this person to talk to the pure state. But in Buddhism, it's like this. It's your Buddha nature that is reflecting as the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha. So you are actually talking to your own reflection. This is clearly explained in the, Uttara Tantra, which is the fifth teachings of the Maitreya. It's a really, really quite an it's an important study anyway. So we take lunch break, and then we talk when we come back more the practical one.